I'm Valerie, and you're listening to the Hey Love podcast. We know just what it's like to have a queer and woman-owned small business team. After all, we're Hey Love Studio.
Here, we'll be sharing our tips and tricks of what we have learned over a few years running a small business.
Whether it's a marketing strategy or how to get new clients or how to even just treat the clients you already have better, we're going to let you in on all the little secrets that make our team successful.
So join us along while we untap topics to make sure you shine and hype your clients up and pay those bills. All right, we're having a wedding, 200 guests, a ballroom, $150,000 later. How do you feel?
Is your heart racing? What does your Apple Watch say? If this idea starts to freak you out, you are not alone. So today we're going to be talking all about why people choose to do micro weddings and elopements, what the difference is, and why you should consider it. So let's actually start with one of our first couples ever, Claire and Eva. So they were one of our first weddings that we ever did. And the crazy story with them is we actually did their wedding on I think a Friday or something. And then the next day we did a 200 plus person party in San Francisco. So we actually got to see both an elopement, micro wedding back to back with a massive, probably over 100K wedding. And so of course we reached out to Claire and Eva and we're like, hey y'all, why did you choose this? And the big thing to think about is elopements and micro weddings became really popular during COVID, right? 2020 through 2022, a lot of our couples were choosing micro weddings and elopements because we chose it because we wanted to keep people safe. You know, we were worried about having a big party and what that might mean for, our friends and family members. And at the same time, feeling anxiety about, what if we have friends and family members who couldn't join us because they couldn't be exposed to such large crowds, right? So maybe we were fine with it, but we had people who mattered to us who couldn't.
Yeah.
And so we saw a lot of our couples at that time really transitioning to micro weddings and elopements, and then realizing that they absolutely loved it. Claire and Eva really chose it because they wanted to be able to prioritize spending time with their family. I think especially for a lot of us, as we grow up and our families move all over the country, any opportunity to come together and celebrate is really special. And as much as we would maybe love to celebrate with 150 other guests, maybe those 50 people are really what matters most. So we just want to remember these kinds of small elopements and micro weddings. Of course, they save us money a lot of times, which is why we love them for our pocketbooks, but also because they're so intimate and magical and special. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I've actually quite thought about the transition in the wedding industry I remember growing up, having these big weddings my mum and dad would go to. I remember my own cousin's wedding. No jokes. It was in 2005. I was very tiny, elementary. And I remember there was over 400 guests there. I'm not joking. She had one of the biggest weddings that we've heard of.
Wow.
Yeah. And we'd still talk about it, right? These days, a big wedding, I would say, is 150 to 200 guests, But I was thinking about it the other day in the car driving, how the industry has shifted from big celebrations. And I don't want to talk down on them because I think there are beauty in them.
Yes, there's definitely a time and a place.
To intimate, small gatherings that's surrounded by the intention of love. And it's just a different vibe. It's just a different sense of celebration. And I absolutely love that in 2026, we can choose which path we want to take. Valerie and I chose micro weddings because my family couldn't be here, one, but two, we wanted something small, intimate, and we wanted something more intentional.
I think for me, one thing that I always think about with small weddings is, especially as a queer couple, is just safety, right? So Addie mentioned that her family couldn't be there, and that was mostly due to COVID and travel, and they couldn't basically get on a plane because America doesn't easily grant visas to South Africans. But at the same time, for a lot of our queer couples, they may not have extensive friends and family groups. They may not be inviting all of their coworkers. They may not be out to everybody that they know in their lives. And so sometimes that can also reduce the guest list. It's much better as a queer couple, I think, to have a smaller but fully safe and celebratory wedding than a large wedding where you've invited everybody and you're kind of holding with your breath to see if anybody, looks away during your first kiss or just doesn't know how to act or stands up and asks, so who wears the pants in the relationship? I mean, we're over that kind of nonsense. And so for a lot of queer couples, having a smaller wedding where you intimately know every person who's there celebrates and supports you.
I love that we can choose the people who we celebrate with. And I love the emotional freedom it gives to know that everyone at your wedding is someone you chose together as a couple to be there. I love that couples now do the things that they want to do, even if it might not be something that anyone else would ever think of, We've been to a couple of weddings now, and I'm telling you, every intimate wedding is so different and has a different energy and a different intentionality than the next intimate wedding. And I just need you to know, if you are deciding to do this, you're bringing a beautiful, sacred energy into your wedding day. It's magical.
I think the other really cool thing about smaller, intimate elopements or micro weddings is that you also get to be more aware of how everybody's involved. So you really have two different ways to take this, two different directions. For example, Eva and Claire prioritized hiring different vendors so that way they could spend all their time with friends and family. Yes, their parents love to cook, but Eva and Claire said, forget that, we're going to have a caterer. And yes, I think one of their parents is also like a fantastic mixologist and might have at one point stepped behind the bar, but they had a bartender, even though it was only, 20 people. It just means that every person who was at their wedding got to be fully present. At the same time, we've also seen weddings where the family is fully involved and not in a stressed out, oh my God, where is my dad with the cake? But in a, oh my gosh, my grandma made the cake, in a way where everybody came together to make it special. I know that we've seen a lot of ceremonies where they actually include the guests at our weddings. Our wedding did that. We ensured that every single family member had a chance to do a reading. It helped to make our ceremony a little bit longer. And it also gave me a memory of everybody wishing us something well on our day. And similarly, we've seen other weddings where parents have given blessings, where siblings have officiated. We've had people sing or play instruments. I mean, there's really just something magical when you're not having to deal with the logistics of a 200-person wedding, flipping a ballroom, do we have enough place settings? Do we have the seating chart? When you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, you get to worry about the other really cool things that'll make your day special.
And if you're the other partner who's half-half and is listening whether you want to do this or not, I just want to let you know, Valerie and I did a micro wedding, but we are celebrating our love everywhere we go. And we are actually planning on doing a massive vow renewal in the future where we have 150 guests with us and we party. But it's going to be a big party and you can do both. So just remind yourself of that.
Yeah, another really nice thing, right? At some point, if you don't have the money for a big party, but you want one, save up. And that's what we're going to do. The next thing we want to talk about is when you are having a smaller wedding, you actually get to have a lot of more interesting location ideas. At the end of the day, if you're searching for a venue for 200 plus people, you need a venue. Point blank. You need to have multiple bathrooms that work. You need to have getting ready rooms.
Sorry, I just had
we had a flashback to a wedding where the bathrooms might have flooded. And so these kinds of things are really important when you have a large group of people. But when you have a smaller group, you get to have more unique locations. I think about my own cousins who got married in a public park across the street from where my aunt lived. I think about our couple, Cassidy and Darcy, who might have done a little rogue elopement at the Dallas Arboretum. We didn't have to do anything special because we just stood off in the grass and married them. Eva's backyard, right?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of backyard weddings.
Eliana.
Oh my gosh, and Catherine in their backyard was beautiful. And what about, was it not Madison and Sophia? They just got married at the courthouse, but
the courthouse is gorgeous.
Also gorgeous, which, by the way, we were able to get permission from the hotel they were staying at to shoot in their bar. We were told when we showed up that day, bar manager told us hey, usually we don't allow people to shoot here. And I said, oh my gosh, I totally understand. I've already reached out. Here's the email. It's 5 of us. And they're like, oh, it's 5 of you and you got permission? Please have a seat.
Yeah.
Let's pop some champagne. So when you have a smaller group, you can do cool things like that definitely would not have been possible if we even had 20 people. Yeah, Amber and Haley went to the place where they had their first date. They rented out, the outdoor patio, which probably was
And I
about
mean,
50 people.
And they had the lake in the backyard. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
went to the backyard, got married there, then had a party the next day with all their people.
So it's really cool because you can choose something. A lot of our couples have chosen nature and outdoors. A lot of our couples have chosen their own homes for very cozy ideas. You can look at certain Airbnbs. Just keep in mind that we wanted to get married at the Airbnb we stayed at in California, but when we mentioned that there would be, 15 people, which was just my family, but plus a photographer, our Airbnb was not comfortable with that. So if you can't use Airbnb, look at PeerSpace. PeerSpace is very similar.
We're not
affiliated.
And I really want to be. PeerSpace, please sponsor us. I love PeerSpace. And you can rent those venues or spaces by the hour. So you can choose how long you want to be there. Oh, I love PeerSpace. Anyways, go on. Everywhere is queer.
Even our friends who got married at the La Casita Bake Shop owned venue in Dallas.
Yes.
Gosh, what's it called? Something
Target?
Garden. I would have to look it up. But La Casita Bake Shop is a very queer affirming bakery that they love. And they actually happen to also own a small venue. Probably couldn't host 200 people, but it could 100% host their drag brunch themed wedding, which was amazing. So what's really special, obviously, about all of these things is that when you do these smaller and more intentional celebrations, usually the logistical planning of getting 15 people in one kind of unusual area is a lot easier than trying to get 200 people.
Just a shout out quickly, if you plan to do it somewhere in a national park, ask your vendor, aka us, because you're going to hire us, to get the permits that we need. There are some restrictions now and then, so just make sure when you are looking for your vendors, especially a videographer and photographer, that they can do the legwork for you. Or if you are keen on doing it for yourself, then just know there are some parts, in the United States that you do need some permits.
Yeah, I mean, I think even when we go to state parks in Oklahoma, we always make sure that we reach out to park offices, check in about what's acceptable, what's not. We make sure to follow all rules and restrictions, and that way everybody has a good time. What we really want to make sure is even when we're doing something non-traditional, especially if we're outdoors or in public spaces, that we are still prioritizing privacy, accessibility, and affirmation. So again, for us, we had the chance to officiate and photograph and videograph a wedding at a state park in Oklahoma for a queer couple. And as we all know, Oklahoma is not as queer affirming as other states in the United States. And so for them, they really wanted a private place. So we went out to the park a few days in advance, scoped out probably 10 different locations, and had them choose their favorite one. And it was very private. They had a beautiful moment, surrounded by their best friends.
In the adventure elopement community, there's a keep beautiful thing, but also one thing that we do is we clean up. So please, if you do get out in nature, just remind yourself that whatever you bring, take it with you. And if you're planning to do any confetti and stuff like that, just make sure that it's either biodegradable dry leaves that you did that's from that area, or just don't do it at all. But, there are things that we need to think about. But your venue itself and where you want to be can be limited anywhere.
Unlimited.
Well, you learned also with the marriage license, wherever you got the marriage license doesn't have to be where you get married or sign it, correct?
Yes. So now that I'm an officiant, I've been reaching out more and more to different county courthouses just to make sure I fully understand, especially as Texas was starting to say that certain judges didn't have to accept or agree to marry queer couples or same-sex couples. Yeah. So what I realized in my research, just by calling around, is that according to what I've heard, that you can, wherever you get your license is where you need to return your license, but that technically the address or where you get married can be anywhere. So for example, you get your license at a courthouse in Texas because it's close by. You can then take that license overseas even.
Yeah.
Get married, sign it, whatever, as long as the person is recognized by the state of Texas as an officiant and everything else follows their rules. You bring it back to that same courthouse and that's where it gets, basically accepted into the system. But yeah, so that I thought was really cool.
Yeah. So if you're getting married and you want to elope maybe in the Colorado mountains and you're like, but what about my marriage license and this adds stress and blah. No, stop, pause, go to your nearest county, get your marriage license there and just take it with you. Done.
All right. So you've listened to this podcast so far and you're like, oh my God, hell yes, I'm ready for my micro wedding / elopement, which real fast, Addie, what is a micro wedding?
It's less than 10 people.
What is an elopement?
Just you two.
Yeah. I would usually say a micro wedding is less than 20. But any case, as you can see, even amongst the two of us, it's semi-debatable. People sometimes think that 50 people as a micro wedding. And frankly, at that point, you're starting to just approach a wedding. So
Yeah.
just be aware. Okay. But you've listened to us and you're like, hell yeah, I'm ready. What are 5 things you can do to kind of help you plan? Addie, give them 5 tips to write down
Yeah.
and help them plan.
Determine your location and stick to it. And then you can find really easy ways to get to there, you know? And tip number 2 is find vendors that will also celebrate you. It's an intimate day. And if you want to have a photographer with you, choose a photographer that will celebrate with you. Choose a photographer that will capture your energy and your style with you.
In addition to maybe finding the right vendors, is try to find vendors that do multiple roles, right? If you're already having a small wedding, you don't want to have more people serving you than you need. So for example, not only do we do photography, but we also do videography, but we will also use your cell phone to take a family portrait for your mom. And bonus, I'm ordained. So that already is multiple people in one.
Yeah.
You know, if you're having a caterer, see if they'll also do bartending for you. If you are hiring a DJ, see if what else they can do for you. And frankly, a lot of times we do that as well. We have a little small speaker that we can bring that's perfect for 4 people or less. And we'll queue up your Spotify playlist so you don't have to as you're walking down the aisle.
I want to say, like, just find vendors, like you said, do multiple things, but do find it in a way where you can be present on a day. Because just because you're 2 or 10 people in between those numbers doesn't mean now that everyone else has to run around to set the expectations of a big wedding. Just do it small as you. Another thing I would say, so location, number 1, stick to it. 2, find vendors that respect you of who you are and do multiple things for you. I love that. Number 3 is decide really who you want to invite and how big you want it. It's okay if you want it to just be you two. If you want to invite a few more people, that's fine too. How to navigate this with family is try to find other ways that you can include them. Like, for instance, if your parents are not there, maybe, or chosen family's not there, maybe ask them if they could meet up with you within the few days of your celebration to go to your favorite restaurant, or ask them to help you to find an outfit, you know, or
maybe do a video call. You know, we actually, on our wedding day, there were so many people all over the world we wanted to talk to, but we couldn't have there. So we video called. We did like 3 different Zooms, and we like showed people our outfits and laughed and like celebrated. My cousin, who recently had a micro wedding in LA, she actually had somebody live stream. And so we got to see the wedding. It was great. So think about those other creative ways if it's really important for you to include certain people without them maybe being able to be physically present. I think that's another big reason why videography is so big is that we're able, you're able to now share that wedding video with everybody. Our good friends Cassidy and Darcy loved their wedding video that we just created for them. And I told them, hey, I'll pop it onto YouTube soon so that way you can just text out the link to everybody. And they're like, oh my God, that's so helpful. So things like that, you know, it can help to make people feel like they were there even if they couldn't be.
Just find also a few rituals you would like to include into your day. I mean, just because it's 2 of you doesn't mean it has to be I do, and now you're done. If you want to write a poem together or sing ukulele or, I don't know, go for a hike together and drink a coffee as the sun come up.
Remember,
you know?
I heard a couple lately who for their Unity item did a tie-dye t-shirt together. Come on, gays. That's obviously for us. We all need to make tie-dye items together.
So, like, find a few rituals that you can hold on to remember that day. You can even do it afterwards. I planted 2 fruit trees, a lemon and lime tree, after Valerie and I got married once we got home. But just include a few things that makes you feel present. Like, get a few things that make you feel present, slow down, you know, you choosing to have this intimate moment, and make sure you invite that energy within you. And then also just make sure that know that you have the permission to do whatever you want to. If you want your dog there, take your dog. But honestly, we're all queer here, so it's going to be cats. But, you know, just remember tip number 5 is, or 4 or 5 is, permission to do whatever you want to. Stop reading the blogs. Just sit down with a loved one and say, hey, how do we want this day to look like? And as soon as it feels stressed out, like, just step away. I remember how stressed we out were because we were trying to get a restaurant and they were quoting us tens and thousands of dollars. I mean, like, there's
it was
quotes
15
of
people.
11. We had 11 people, and we got quotes of $15,000 to have feed 11 people. And we were like, are we gonna get like a gold plate, like what is happening here? As soon as it feels like that, reach out to us. We am happy to take those hits for you, or just,
There
step
are,
back.
yeah, take a step back, think about what's important. For us, at the end of the day, it was important to have good food and be outside because of COVID restrictions. We wanted to have, circulating air.
Yeah.
And we actually texted our photographer and we're like, we're at a loss. Where do we go? And she's like, oh, girls, you should go down the street of my house to this great pizza place. And sure enough, we called them and it was perfect. And now every
Yeah.
time we're in San Francisco, we always try to go there. We get our favorite wedding dessert
I remember.
and some
Yeah.
champagne. It's Addie's favorite dessert. Yeah, so just do things that make sense for you. All right, here's our last thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit real fast before we go about the storytelling side, the visual storytelling side.
Yeah.
So, obviously, when you have a smaller wedding, you're maybe not going to have all of these big timeline moments that a traditional wedding might have. You may not have a first dance, right? You may not have a grand exit. You may not have certain things. So, instead, making sure that you talk with your photography and videography team about the traditions that you're including that are really important, and then also just give space to allow those moments to unfold.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of times when people are getting married at a courthouse, they'll email us and they'll be like, we want a 1 hour session. It's going to be 2 of us and 10 family members, and we just want a few photos of the ceremony. And I get it. Yeah. Like sometimes that's all we have the budget for. But frankly, what you're going to get then is a few photos of the ceremony and a few photos maybe of people sitting around. Instead, consider maybe having a longer session where you can have a few more intimate moments. You can have a few pictures of the two of you holding hands or walking or just thinking together about what a beautiful day it is.
Yeah. And I'm going to put my dream out there, because whoever this couple is, please reach out to me. I have seen this beautiful wedding film. And it's a couple who had a long weekend somewhere in a lake, mountains area. And they started their morning going through photos that they had together and talking about the relationship and taking it slow, having breakfast together. Then they also included kayaking, and they went out on a lake and enjoyed that. They ended up, so it's a whole movie obviously, but they ended up doing a vow exchange and stuff in the mountain where the lake is, and they did it over 3 days because they made it slow and they enjoyed what they want to do. So maybe, honestly, maybe my other tip, and I know we're past that now, but see it as a beautiful date.
Yeah.
Like where you were dating back when the butterflies were there. Well, it's always there. But when you were brand new, take that same energy and put it into your wedding and plan it over that, because you can make it as long and short as you want to. I'm definitely for long, long, long.
Well, and I think what's also really special is when you have a shorter elopement, right? Maybe it is just a courthouse session, but you actually book your visual team for longer. It allows you all the space to really capture all the moments that are important. So, for example, we had a lovely couple who got married at the courthouse. It was just the two of them and each of their moms. And on the one hand, they could have hired us for 1 hour, in and out, done. They ended up, I think, hiring us for 4 hours, which seems like a lot, but even then it went so fast. We were able to capture beautiful portraits of each bride. We got great first look moments with their moms. There was no rush with the first look. There was no stress about, did everybody park? Did they find us? We only have 45 minutes. It was so slow and so easy.
And yet
we got gorgeous photos of them just hanging out on the bench outside the courthouse. For me, an iconic photo now. And like I mentioned, of course, we got the ceremony moment, which was a little nerve-wracking. We were kind of scared that, it had just been when the Texas judges were no longer required to perform same-sex marriages. We were a little nervous, but our judge was incredible. He performed it really lovely, like he does all weddings. And then we went down to the hotel and we got some cute photos of them clinking glasses. So again, even though it is a shorter ceremony, do not feel like your wedding celebration has to include a very short visual capturing time. It can be longer to enjoy it, to take it slow. I mean, I think even with Brooke and Hannah, I think we ended up also shooting their rehearsal dinner, which at first they were like, oh, I don't know if we need that. That's not the important thing for us. But actually, it ended up being perfect because we got to celebrate them cutting the cake. We got to see them signing the license. And those are all moments now that live forever on their wedding film.
Yeah.
So again, keeping in mind that even though your ceremony might be short, your visual team can be there for longer to allow you the space to capture those unexpected and
Yeah.
kind of spontaneous moments.
I think also like having a visual team that might also be a witness rather than someone who's there to produce something is
Yeah.
really important. And unless you're there to make bang of a film
Which
and,
there are
and
some,
scripted
there's
and
definitely
stuff.
some clients who prefer a very production-based video.
And we can do that
You can
too.
do that, but our preference is to be more of a witness and have that storytelling happen
Yeah,
naturally throughout the day.
absolutely.
All right, so we're at the end of our episode. So just to recap,
Micro weddings are intimate, they're intentional, they're beautiful, and they create the space for yourself to be who you are.
and whether you're getting married in Dallas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, literally the options are endless, especially with a smaller guest list. You can celebrate on your own terms in a place that truly matches your vision.
Yeah. And I want to remind you, you don't need permission to celebrate the way you want to celebrate.
So, if you're ready and you've already got some ideas, feel free to reach out to us. We love it if you'd hit us up in our DMs, leave a comment, or of course, send us an email. As a brain person, that's my preferred method of contact. And keep an eye out for future episodes where we're going to talk about how to plan an elopement timeline and how to maybe tell your family that you're eloping without all the drama and other ways that you can just have a perfect and lovely celebration of your
Yeah.
love.
Let us know what is on your to-do list for your micro wedding / elopement, where you're going to go, and
And if we're
when it
included.
is. Yeah, because I'll be there. Until next time.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, and hopefully you've learned something.
Yeah, if something really stuck with you today, please consider sharing it with another photographer, videographer, creative. Make sure you hit follow and consider leaving us a review.
And if you love this chaos, please ensure that you follow us on Instagram at Hey Love Studio. This is where we share our BTS, our beautiful queer love, and other couples, and we would love to see you there.
Until next time, keep creating
Keep celebrating.
and know that, hey, love, we got you.